Hello, I'm Raymond Sana. I used to be a ICRC delegate, and I was also the Deputy Chief of Training some years ago. And I'd like to tell a short little story about why the Association of Former ICRC Delegates is important to me. I'll give you an example for one of the sessions that our head of the association, Tony Bunger, organized, and that was an interview with also a former ICRC delegate, namely Niels Melzer. Niels Melzer has a role today of being assigned the task to safeguard the human rights and is an envoy of the United Nations. So he told us a story about what he does in terms of protecting as much as he can the human rights of a famous man called Assange, who created WikiLeaks, and how he has all sorts of difficulties to face up to in terms of his prison conditions that he is kept in the UK. Now, I'm not going to talk about the case of Assange. I just wanted to say that Niels' summary of what the work he is doing was very important to me, because it relates to a question I had while being a delegate of the ICRC, and I couldn't really, in a satisfactory way, answer my own question at that time, which was, what can we do to prevent war and to prevent violence committed by people on other people? So after the ICRC, I moved towards the United Nations and international relations, and a bit similar to Niels, I was looking for ways to prevent war or to prevent violence committed by people on other people. So what I'm now busy with is, for instance, working as a member of the open-ended working group of the United Nations, which attempts to create a convention to regulate private security and military companies. Now, while being there as a delegate of civil society, I also have to do with and deal and negotiate with people who were also former ICRC delegates. The one who represents the ICRC in the committee of the people who are negotiating the draft of this convention. There's DCAF, also former, representing DCAF, also former delegate, myself, and also people from governments, including the Swiss government, where there were some former ICRC delegates. And we're all there trying to find out how could we regulate people who work for these private military and security companies who are known to commit lots of violations in regards to human rights. In other words, how to prevent future violence. And in that sense, to close the loop, for me, working in the ICRC was taking care of the people who were victims of violence, and looking at ways to regulate and to prevent violence or war. For me, that makes sense, and I think it will make sense for others who leave the ICRC, having done important work taking care of victims, and maybe now also engage in efforts to try to prevent future wars and violence.